Life is...
Alright. Well, good luck being everything. Sorry I helped.
So, apparently there is some controversy going on, mainly on Twitter, but I've seen a few YouTube videos as well, regarding religious people in StarFleet. Yeah, let's just get into it.
For over 50 years, the one thing that allowed the Bajorans to survive the Cardassian occupation was their faith. The prophets were their only source of hope and courage.
But there were no prophets. They were just aliens that you found in the wormhole.
To those aliens, the future is no more difficult to see than the past. Why shouldn't they be considered prophets?
Are you serious?
My point is, it's a matter of interpretation. It may not be what you believe, but that doesn't make it wrong.
Before I delve too far into this, it really needs to be stated that there is some amount of interpretation on how Starfleet and the Federation really treat organized religion, especially for Starfleet officers. While there are some contradictions in Trek over the topic, yeah, what else is new? I think people would be hard-pressed to claim that religion is prevalent in Starfleet. In fact, I'd say the very opposite is true. You do have a few outliers which can be prominently noted, but every religious person within Trek is either from another species or is considered an outsider. Those who are religious are very othered. In fact, DS9 is a prime example of how religion is looked down upon within the Starfleet ranks. The Bajoran people being religious is a negative sticking point of Starfleet and the Federation at some junctures. Additionally, we observe Sisko go from a non-believer to basically Space Jesus, and how he makes those within Starfleet uncomfortable with his beliefs afterwards. This could be a deeper discussion in the essay, but honestly, it's something I've done across a myriad of previous topics, so go look at my catalog if you're interested. To be succinct, Starfleet largely consists of non-believing individuals that accept, I'm not going to say tolerate, but accept the religious. In the Trek universe for the Federation, the best case scenario, in my opinion, is that religion is now a cultural ideal that continues because their ancestors did it, or because it's fun. Anyone who watches later seasons of TNG, all of DS9, and all of Voyager would likely agree with what I've just said. I'd even argue you can see it in Discovery and Picard. And I know, Chakotay, but remember, he washed out of Starfleet, became a Maquis, and only rejoined because they had to or everyone was going to die. Okay, so all of that said, if we are showing religion in Lower Decks and assuming that it is an actual religious belief, then that is a retcon, assuming they are trying to say it was always that way. It simply is. You'll have to deal with that in your own way, I'm sorry. The only other explanation is that religion had a huge resurgence after the Dominion War, which actually does make some sense. I could do a video on that, but either way, it didn't exist largely before, and does to some degree now. While I do think that Starfleet, and again probably a large part of the Federation, is atheistic, you could make an argument that religions existed at the cultural level, as I've stated. This could be backed up by the TNG episode Data's Day, and a few other TNG and DS9 one-offs. Additionally, we know that Sisko becomes Space Jesus, as I've said, and while he makes everyone uncomfortable, he's still treated pretty well, even if he's othered to some degree. And the interesting thing is that this entire discussion really culminates due to two basically background characters, one who was Islamic and the other who is probably a Sikh. Which it's kind of damning when you think about it. We had a space koala that basically runs the entire universe, like we're all on the back of the space koala in the Trek universe. And as I said in the first episode, we had a Sikh, but apparently everyone gets upset when a woman wears a hijab in the background, but we're just going to let that one go for now. Personally, I always believed that Starfleet being atheistic was interesting, but ultimately very damning. It was generally presented as a bad look for atheism in most respects. I've done several videos over this, but Picard is a horrible atheist that replaced belief in a god with the Prime Directive.
They abandoned their belief in the supernatural. Now you are asking me to sabotage that achievement, to send them back into the dark ages of superstition and ignorance and fear? No!
The best atheist, in my opinion, was Scotty and Janeway. And Sisko, as I've said, lovingly known as Space Jesus, was really an examination of both the greatness and the perils of going from atheism to belief. It doesn't bother me, personally, if there are people whom are religious in the Trek universe. even if they're in StarFleet. I do think that if we began to make all of the crew religious, retconned previous members to being religious, and tried to say that the entirety of StarFleet was pushed by everyone having a belief in a deity, then we fundamentally changed what the show was, at least from TNG Season 3 and on. But that's not happening, at least not yet. Perhaps the Dominion War had an impact and brought religion back. Maybe this is a retcon and religion supposedly always existed. God knows Trek loves its retcons. Either way, I'd argue, even if we retcon religious people into the show, that still has some core tenets of Trek in it. The tenet would be inclusivity. Trek, regardless what the left would like to say, does have conservatives and fairly right-leaning individuals in its various series, and some of them are the good guys. Trek, regardless of what the right would like to say, also has been fairly progressive in pushing to normalize things in culture that are considered taboo. It has pushed for an amazing amount of equality. Episodes have talked about how you shouldn't be racist. Episodes have promoted transgenderism. Episodes have promoted homosexuality and more. And I'm not even talking about the new shows. TOS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise all had episodes that promoted these various ideas. Hell, the only thing it seems Trek writers hate is having sympathy for sexual assault victims if they're male, but again, another topic for another time. If they want to have people who celebrate and believe in religion, or at least culturally celebrate it, then that's fine. I do think they probably need to explain in the story why we go from basically rampant atheism to, well, I guess not rampant atheism, but it could be an interesting story. I will say that on a personal level, I can empathize with a person who sees religion as a shackle to others. The one thing most religions appear to share is the restriction of what women can and can't do, Islam being top among them from what I understand, though Christianity isn't far behind. So not wanting that in a future that's supposed to be all about equality, all about how people can do whatever they want to do, that they can go past whom they are, is a valid criticism, but that's not something to become so hostile about. Whether a person is a believer or not, we really shouldn't be turned off for the simple existence of something. I think we need more of a reason than that. If they want to show someone being religious in the show, and they do something with it, whether it's Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, whatever, let's see where they go with it. But these are my thoughts. What are yours? Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.